To begin, before we call the meeting to order, we'd like to begin with the land acknowledgement. The West Hollywood Human Services Commission acknowledges that the land on which we gather and that is currently known as the City of West Hollywood is the occupied, unceded, seized territory of the Gabrielino Tongva and Gabrielino Quiche peoples. And with that, we will call the meeting to order at 5:35. We'll begin with roll call.
Commissioner Borelli.
Present.
Commissioner Ayers.
Here.
Commissioner Palmieri.
Here.
Commissioner Steele. Here. Commissioner Wyville.
Here.
Vice Chair Williams.
Here.
And Chair Adolphson.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Great. If you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Moving on to the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. I have a first from Commissioner Steele and a second from Commissioner Ayers. Roll call. Commissioner Borelli.
Aye.
Commissioner Ayers.
Aye.
Commissioner Palmieri.
Aye.
Commissioner Steele.
Aye.
Commissioner Wyville.
Aye.
Vice Chair Williams.
Yes.
And Chair Adolphson.
Aye.
The motion passes.
Regarding the minutes, I believe we have an amendment.
Yes, there was a typo in there. I had it as Tarzana was not in attendance. They were. They just didn't have to approach the podium, so I will go ahead and make that edit.
With that edit, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
A second?
Seconded.
Thank you. I have a first from Commissioner Borelli and a second from Commissioner Wyville. Roll call. Commissioner Borelli.
Aye.
Commissioner Ayers.
Aye.
Commissioner Palmieri. Commissioner Steele.
Aye.
Commissioner Wyville.
Aye.
Vice Chair Williams.
Yes.
And Chair Adolphson.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Excellent, thank you. Next up, public comment. The Human Services Commission values your comments. However, pursuant to the Brown Act, the Human Services Commission cannot take action on items not listed on the posted agenda. Members of the public have 2 minutes to speak. This public comment period is to address the Human Services Commission on agenda items or items of general interest within the jurisdiction of the Human Services Commission. An additional public comment period is offered at the end of the meeting, and as a reminder, this is public comment, and then we will be moving into public hearing. So if you have comments related to tonight's public hearing, we will take those at that time. So with that, I believe we have a public comment on Zoom, is that correct? We'll start there.
Yes, we do. We have one public comment for, her name is Annie Bagasso. If you want to click *6, you'll be able to unmute, and you have 2 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this agenda item. I myself am the Community Services Commissioner for the City of South Pasadena and also the founder of South Pasadena Tenants Union. So I'm acutely aware of the commitment and dedication required by community volunteers such as yourselves, and commend you on your meaningful work. That being said, I'm a volunteer at World Harvest, and when I heard they were submitting a proposal to West Hollywood for a food and nutrition program, I was really eager to get involved because I think everyone and other cities should be able to access the amazing services that they provide. I myself have benefited from the Cart with a Heart program, so I can speak to the quality and quantity of the food that is made available at World Harvest. During the pandemic, I was able to share 1 cart per week with 3 other single moms and prepare hot meals for a dozen of my unhoused neighbors for 6 months. That was a huge benefit to me. As we all know, we were all kind of struggling economically and also having difficulties getting food and getting to the grocery store during that time. So I just would like to encourage the city of West Hollywood and the commissioners to consider including World Harvest in their program. I think it would be a great enhancement to the wonderful organizations that you already have doing this work in the community, because I can't stand if anyone go hungry, and I know that your goal is to bridge that gap and to make sure that all of your residents and students and workers are taken care of. And I just think that World Harvest would be a great addition to that program. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have an additional public comment. Anything else on Zoom? No. In the room, Valentina Letts. Is Valentina here? No? No, say okay. Great. That's it for public comment at this time. We have nothing on consent calendar, which moves us right into public hearing. Item A, 2025-2026 Social Services Contracts Funding Recommendations and Public Hearing. The Human Services Commission will review and consider staff recommendations for social service contracts for October 1, 2025 to September 30th of 2028 contract cycle and hold a public hearing for the community to provide feedback on the recommendations. Secretary Amy, how was this meeting noticed?
As required by law.
Excellent. So I'll hand it over to staff to make their presentations.
So for tonight's presentation, we're going to start off first with the community survey, and I'm going to invite FM3 up to the podium to discuss the findings. Yes, please. Just, let's see. Does that work? Okay.
Good evening, Chair and Commission members. I want to thank you for inviting me to present the results of your resident survey. We conducted the survey between June 11th and the 24th. It was an adult-based survey, so we took all residential addresses in the city of West Hollywood, and we matched them to available commercially and publicly available databases. And then we conducted a survey among a random sample of 573 residents 18 years of age and older. For questions asked of everyone, the margin of error is plus or minus 4.4. In some cases, we had a fairly long list of questions, and there the margin of error is plus or minus 6.2, as we only asked a random half the sample. We contacted folks by telephone, email, text, and postcards, and they had the opportunity, if randomly selected, to take the survey on telephone and online. We've had the privilege over a number of years to do surveys for the city, but even further back, where we had the data, we tracked responses where appropriate. And of course, we offered the survey in English, Russian, and Spanish, and the respondent got to choose which one they felt most comfortable to respond to. If you notice something doesn't quite equal 100%, I blame it entirely on rounding. Some of the first questions included an open-ended question before we got into any kind of items that we mentioned, to see if they could tell us what they consider to be the social services that would be most helpful to their household. And this was all open-ended. We took the responses and then we grouped the themes together. And we accepted, again, multiple responses up to 2. And you could see the themes of the leads were affordable housing, rent control, rent subsidy, issues related to public safety, transportation, public transportation, addressing homeless. Those were the top items. And only 8% said they couldn't think of anything, and 10% opted not to answer that question. Then we gave them a list of 18 services and programs that are offered by the city, and we asked them if they were aware of those services. And we randomized the list so not to have a bias response. So people got they got the full list, but in different order. And the leads of awareness related to LGBTQ community member services, transportation-related services, and you could see that included a number of items, as you well know, the city subsidizes. HIV and STI prevention and care, and sexual and reproduction health services were among the lead items that people are aware on. On the lower side of awareness, were employment services and job placement, emergency financial assistance, such as helping to pay rent or bills. Then we asked them, with the same list, but again randomized, we asked them if they use these services. And here you'll notice that the percentages that you saw a moment ago in terms of awareness are much smaller. So I might be aware of something, but I may not need that service, or I may not feel comfortable to ask for help by using that service. Again, among the leads were transportation services, LGBTQ, plus community member services, health services, HIV, STD prevention and/or care. And on the lower side, in terms of use of these services, were services related to disability, homelessness, preschool, and substance use treatment. And I thought it would be interesting to take the first list and the second list and combine it together in a matrix. So you could see letters are associated with the legend on the right-hand side. So we took all the percentages for the awareness, which is the x-axis or horizontal axis, and we took all the percentages for the usage, which is the y-axis or the vertical axis, and we mapped them out. And these dotted lines is sort of the average of all awareness or average of all usage. So if I'm in the top right quadrant, I am comparatively high in awareness and high in usage. So the number one kind of thing that stands out is B, which is transportation services. There's relatively high awareness and comparatively high usage relative to the other services provided. Also A, the services for LGBTQ community members, and C, the HIV, STI prevention and/or care. Conversely, on low awareness and low usage are the ones in the lower left quadrant, the Q, the R, the N, and the O. And they represent employment services and job placement, services for people with disability, preschool, and the emergency financial assistance. So low in awareness and low in use. We then, after having provided them with this list of 18 services and programs offered by the city, went back and re-asked the question that I showed you earlier, which was an open end, which two services would be most helpful now that you know more, because we've given them more information. And you'll notice when we compared the initial response, which you saw previously, and which is in the dark blue, and then the subsequent response after receiving information, which is the brighter blue, you'll see some slight changes comparatively. And so there is a drop in terms of choosing public safety item or service as one of those items once they learn with greater specificity what the city can offer. You see an 8-point difference from 23 to 15. With respect to affordable housing, rent control, and rent subsidies, it starts out at 27%, it drops to 21%. People may identify in the survey certain services that they weren't aware of that they now see as a higher priority. Oh, I didn't know they offered that. I see this as something that would be much more beneficial. Not that the other services aren't beneficial, but we gave them an option of at least 2 services. And then want to move on to the topic of opinions about city funding for homelessness services. And this question we asked in 2018 as well. So you could see a comparative, you see the 2025 graph, line and then the 2018 line. Here we said the city is considering helping to fund various homeless-related programs and services and can be provided by the city and other agencies in West Hollywood. Please indicate if you think the program or service should be funded in West Hollywood. So it's a simple binary of yes, no, or they don't know enough to offer an opinion. What's striking to me is even if there's a slight increase or decrease. In the case of emergency shelter, you can see there's an increase of 8 points from 73 that said yes in 2018 to 81. Or there's a decline on the top slide here, on the top item here, healthcare and crisis response services for people who are experiencing homelessness. Here there's an 11-point drop. Some of that might be margin of error. But what's striking in all cases, the vast majority of the population support all these, the funding for all these services. And that, in essence, has not really changed. None of this has gone out of favor. There's clearly a sense of importance in the city. And then finally, I wanted to show a couple, because I know these are important issues to both the committee and also the audience, some characteristics of the population. Now, this relates to sexual orientation. We asked, which of the following do you identify yourself as? And 54% said heterosexual, and then you have 43% who identify in some way with the LGBTQ plus community. And again, they selected what they saw themselves as. With respect to population or demographics in households, I thought it would be interesting to look at seniors. Now, if one defines seniors as 65 or older, and I realize there are various definitions, so I respect that, but if I use this example just to make the point, we asked people for this question if they lived with someone else in the household. If they did, we asked them, do you have people who are 18 to 54, 55 to 64, or 65 or older? 8% said they live with someone who's 65 or older. We then also included the people who didn't live with someone else, but are 65 and older. They informed us they are. So we have 18% of the households are living with or have someone who's 65, age 65 or older in the household. And finally, I want to end, not because it's the least important, but all equally important, on, we asked about health issues. We said, please indicate if any of the following health issues affect your household. And here we have a comparative from back to 2006 with slight modification on how we talk about mental health condition or emotional disability, because I think many of us have gotten smarter about being sensitive to the issue and how we talk about it comparatively to 2006. So we try to frame it more inclusively. And here you could see that a little bit more than 25% identify some kind of health issue. These are the ones that we provided. And you'll note that in some households, because if you add up the first group of items in 2025, they equal more than 25%, that some households have more than one health issue. And so you can see that the work you're doing really is important to a large percentage of the population of the city of West Hollywood. And with that, I am happy to answer any questions.
We're actually going to wait for questions
Oh.
until after the staff presentation.
Great,
Okay.
thank you.
I'll be back.
Yeah, don't go far. All right, Derek, I leave it in your hands.
Bottom right.
All right, good evening, commissioners, members of the public, applicants who worked really hard this RFP cycle. I just want to acknowledge how hard you all worked too in reviewing 47 proposals. I know many of you have day jobs, you have people you have to take care of, and you did this all on your volunteer time. So we really, really appreciate it. So we're here to talk about the social services funding recommendations. We're at the City of West Hollywood Human Services Division. I am Derek Murray, Social Services Supervisor. I am joined with our new Human Services Manager, Terry Carter. So who we are. Our mission, the Human Services Division, connects West Hollywood community members with a broad range of social services, health, education, and essential resources. Guided by the city's core values of respect and support for people, our programs address diverse community needs, from food and housing assistance to HIV prevention and care, early childhood development, employment support, legal aid, and mental health services. And we also are advancing equity and well-being through strategic initiatives, policy development, and program design that respond to the evolving needs of our most vulnerable community members. So why we're here? We're sharing staff recommendations for the upcoming contract cycle, covering October 1st, 2025 to September 30th, 2028. Our focus is on aligning funding with actual community needs based on input from community members, data from needs assessments and community surveys, and ongoing provider feedback. We've expanded funding in key areas like HIV prevention, food security, and housing stability, and brought in some new partners to fill in existing gaps. Throughout the process, we work to stay transparent and accountable, applying a consistent framework, evaluating its impact, and ensuring the public dollars are directed where they make the biggest difference. So just briefly, an RFP timeline overview. So the RFP process has been a collaborative effort between the Human Services staff and the Human Services Commission. On April 25th, the RFP was released. On June 5th was the submission deadline for proposals. June 24th was a deadline for commissioners to submit questions to applicants in writing. July 8th, which was the last meeting, commissioners discussed proposals and also questioned applicants. And today's task, the commission reviews and considers the staff recommendations of $8.29 million in social services contracts. And what happens after this is that city staff take the recommendations to city council for their approval on August 18th. So the results. This RFP process reflects our commitment to fairness, transparency, and public accountability. Public televised meetings and written Q&A processes ensured equal access to information and informed the evaluation by commissioners. So 47 proposals were submitted, requesting $17.8 million, which was our largest sum ever. 32 programs are recommended for funding, 15 proposals are not. And the recommendations are based on evaluation scores, measurable outcomes and potential duplication, alignment with city priorities and gaps, site visits for new programs, and performance and cost reporting from the current contractors. So total request is $17.7 million. Total staff recommendation is 8.292336. Next, I want to talk about our strategic alignment. As staff reviewed proposals, we looked not only at what services were being offered, but also how well those services aligned with our strategic goals and community-defined needs. Staff recommendations are grounded in several key frameworks. First, we drew from existing city initiatives, which includes Aging in Place, HIV Zero, the West Hollywood Homeless Initiative, and the Poverty Reduction Strategy. Next, we incorporated community input from multiple sources. Advisory boards like the Disabilities Advisory Board and the Russian-Speaking Advisory Board participated. Human Services, Public Safety, and Rent Stabilization Commissions also participated in this process. City Council gave us directives, and community engagement efforts were taken, including listening sessions, surveys, and public comments. And I also want to reference two major planning tools, that we used, which was the WehoTV strategic plan, which identified long-term social services priorities, and the 2025 nonprofit needs assessment, which captured real-time insight into service gaps, organizational capacity, and what providers need to be successful. Next, I want to talk about what the funding priorities were that were identified during this process. So first, we have animal care. The community prioritized access to veterinary care, pet food, and wellness for community members who depend on companion animals for stability and comfort. There's children, youth, and families, which is investing early pay, long-term dividends. So these programs promote healthy development, school readiness, and parenting support. Then we have community connection. We know that social isolation is a growing public health issue, especially among older adults. and marginalized groups. Programs in this area help build trust, reduce loneliness, and connect people to the services that they need. There's economic empowerment, so through financial assistance and workforce development, these programs help community members build stability and independence, whether they're recovering from job loss, housing insecurity, or systemic exclusion. There's health and wellness, so this is our broadest category, which includes food access, mental health care, harm reduction, substance use services, and HIV prevention and treatment. These programs promote both individual well-being and public health. Homeless services, so the city funds programs that meet immediate needs, like emergency shelter and hygiene, as well as long-term supports like housing navigation and case management. Lastly, we have legal and advocacy. We invest in tenants' rights, eviction prevention, and legal support for those navigating those complex systems, especially people at risk of displacement or discrimination. Each recommended program connects to one or more of these funding priorities with an emphasis on services that are holistic, inclusive, and have a measurable impact. As city staff made funding decisions, we also looked closely at who was being served. These priority populations were identified based on local data, feedback from the community, and persistent disparities in health and housing outcomes. Our goal was to ensure that the public dollars are reaching those most impacted by poverty, isolation, discrimination, and systemic barriers to care. This list is alphabetical, but the lived experiences behind it are deeply intersectional. Many community members fall into multiple categories, such as older adults who are LGBTQ, housing insecure, and living with a disability. That's why we fund organizations that are community-based, culturally responsive, and flexible in how they deliver services. Language access, trauma-informed care, and inclusive program design are essential. Next, I want to talk about our evaluation process. So as city staff made those funding decisions, we also closely looked at, the city values all proposals and the commitment behind them. Each of those submissions included meaningful ideas to support the West Hollywood community. We want to begin by acknowledging the time, the thought, the care that went into every application that we read. Each proposal reflected a sincere desire to contribute to the health and the well-being of our community members. That made this process both inspiring and also very difficult because we had far more worthy proposals than funding available. So every proposal was reviewed by both city staff and the Human Services Commission using a 100-point rubric which evaluated program design, budget, organizational capacity, and service history, and alignment with city funding priorities and priorities populations. In addition, all new applicants received a site visit to verify feasibility and capacity on the ground. We assess measurable outcomes, not just what activities were proposed, but what change the program aims to achieve and how that will be tracked. We considered the duplication of services and whether programs filled an unmet need or overlapped with existing efforts. And then lastly, for current contractors, we also looked at performance metrics, spending patterns, and any return of funds, which helped us understand the fiscal and operational reliability over the next 3 years. So staff are very excited to introduce several new or expanded programs that reflect innovative approaches to long-standing issues. There's the Coalition for Economic Survival, which is expanding tenant education and advocacy, critical in this high-rent, high-displacement region like West Hollywood. Defense Diagnostics will distribute mail-based fentanyl test kits, increasing harm reduction access for those who may not connect with brick and mortar services. Rainbow Hill brings a residential treatment model for LGBTQ+ individuals with substance use disorders, addressing a long-standing service gap that we have in the city. Community Bridge Housing offers a low-barrier interim shelter, which meets people where they are and helps them stabilize. And then lastly, Lakata will enroll 24 community members into the substance use continuum of care and will provide outreach to high-risk venues, targeting overdose prevention and substance use intervention where it's most needed. And then lastly, there's World Harvest, which will provide grocery vouchers for community members who are facing food insecurity. I just have a couple more slides to go. So here is the areas of program growth we want to announce. So staff recommended growth in several strategic areas based on identified gaps and community feedback. There is food and nutrition. We recommend to expand the Seeds of Hope and World Harvest programs to help ensure the community members facing food insecurity have access to healthy, culturally relevant food. HIV services. With the closure of the LGBT Center WeHo location, staff recommend Men's Health Foundation to fill a critical HIV STI testing gap in the city. Staff also recommend expanding Being Alive support groups, wellness navigation, and education for people who are living with HIV. For homelessness services, staff is recommending a consolidation of outreach under one provider, Healthcare in Action, in order to strengthen coordination and accountability. Unlike other providers in this area, HIA provides direct patient care on the streets, so it's a more valuable service than the traditional outreach approach, which is usually flyers, hygiene kits, and incentives. Lastly, shelter beds will increase from 10 to 15, with new beds provided through Community Bridge Housing. For housing security, staff are recommending expanding legal assistance through BETSEDIC and the Coalition for Economic Survival, and financial supports from APLA and NCJW to provide a layered approach to eviction prevention. And then for harm reduction, staff are recommending APLA Health's Partywise program, which is an evidence-based intervention for gay and bisexual men who use crystal methamphetamine. City staff also recommend a greater investment in Being Live and the LGBT Center's WeHo Life program to expand access to harm reduction tools such as the Defend all-in-one test kits and more innovative drink spiking test kits to prevent drug-facilitated sexual assault in the city's bars and nightclubs. We are acknowledging there are identified service gaps from the list of funding priorities. Those are animal care. We did not receive proposals for pet wellness or veterinary services this cycle. And we know for unhoused and low-income community members, pets are often a source of stability and support, and we recognize this as an area for future development. For children, youth, and family programs, childcare, after-school program, and parenting education remain unfunded by the city, with the exception of the preschool. These services are critical for working families and for early intervention, and we will continue to look for partnerships and opportunities to strengthen this area. These gaps are not being ignored. They help guide our planning for future services, nonprofit capacity building, and cross-sector collaboration. Just a couple more. Fiscal approach is next. Staff take the responsibility of being good stewards of public funds. Here's how we ensure that public funds are used wisely and effectively. Gap funding. So city funds are used strategically to cover services that cannot be supported by other revenue sources like Medi-Cal or federal grants. For proportional funding, agencies are paid based on what services they actually provide. This ensures accountability and aligns payment with measurable outcomes. Monitoring. Programs submit quarterly reports, track deliverables, and meet regularly with staff to ensure that they're on track and aligned with community needs. Provisional status. All new programs begin with a 6-month provisional period. This allows staff to evaluate implementation, identify challenges early, and determine whether a program is viable for a full year of funding. And then lastly, I want to talk about reduced duplication of services. We intentionally streamlined services this year, particularly in homeless outreach, to avoid redundancy and increase efficiency. These mechanisms are not just about oversight, they're about partnership. We want our providers to succeed, and our monitoring helps make that happen. And the next steps for tonight. First, the chair will open the floor for commissioners to ask clarifying questions of either staff or FM3. And then the chair will call up speakers for the public hearing so community members can provide input on the recommendations. Then the commission will deliberate, provide feedback, and vote on the funding package in front of them. Once approved, staff will begin working with each funded agency to negotiate scopes of work and budgets tailored to the approved funding levels. And then lastly, on August 18th, staff will bring the final set of recommendations to City Council for formal consideration and approval. We appreciate the Commission's thoughtful review and the community's participation in this process. Together, we're shaping a network of services that really reflect West Hollywood's values and our vision. So that concludes the staff presentation. We're open for any clarifying questions from commissioners.
Great. Thank you, Derek. Thank you for that great presentation. I will open it up to my fellow commissioners for questions. Any questions for our presentations? Yeah, Commissioner Ayers?
Yeah, why couldn't we get those survey results presented to us at our last meeting? That would have been helpful.
Thank you. You know, it's a bit of a challenge to get 523 people to, or over 500 people to complete a survey. So it took a little while to get it. Apologize for that, for the timing. It didn't work out.
Commissioner? Yep.
Yes, definitely. We can have it sent to you. We'll have the PowerPoint slides too.
No? Any other questions? Okay, well, with that, we will open it up to our public speakers for item 3A. And I just want to check, Valentina, did you want to speak at this item? Okay, fantastic, thank you. So with that, our first speaker is Morgan Clark, followed by Yola Dore.
Hi, Commissioners. My name is Morgan Clark. I am the Vice Chair on the Trans Advisory Council for the City of LA. I'm also the Research Evaluation and Development Director for APAT, a division of special service for groups. We submitted a proposal called the STEP program, which is a straight-based transitional engagement program. This program is 100% on-the-ground client-centered and provides housing services, including same-day linkage to housing, and then basically engagement into our full wraparound services, including case management, housing navigation, mental health, substance use treatment, as well as connection to our extensive community partners. With that, I'd like to add that we currently oversee 9 different housing sites, meaning that we have allocated emergency beds ready for this program, as well as for our other programs that are in place. And to that extent, 5 of those are going to be transitional housing. 4 of those are permanent supportive housing. We do have housing specific for transgender women, queer individuals, as well as individuals who are experiencing mental health issues and substance use issues. This program overall is supposed to be very focused on meeting people where they're at. That being said, it is completely street-based to go to the community, find individuals who are ready to engage, and if they're not, still providing them resources that are necessary for them to successfully navigate the streets. That being said, I would like you to take that into consideration when making your final decisions, and I hope to work with you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Morgan. Yola Dore, followed by Angel Anderson, and just a reminder that it's 2 minutes tonight.
Good evening, commissioners, staff, and honored guests. Yola Dore, your liaisons from the Disabilities Advisory Board. You know, if I had this amount of money, like over $8 million, I know what I would do. So get ready to hear what I would do, okay? Are you listening? Real good, listen up. I would fund JFS, APLA, Being Alive, CES, the LGBT Center, and almost every one of the food people applying, because food is a big thing that's going to be talked about in the months to come. I hope you will take this to heart because even though I don't have that 8 million, I speak for those with disabilities who are going to be so affected by these cuts, and those from the LGBT community who will also suffer losses. We don't want that to happen. We want to work together and make it a plus. Let's do it. Let's go for it. Go, WeHo. We love you. Bye.
Thank you, Yola. Angel Anderson, followed by Andrew Mendez.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Angel Anderson. For the past year, I've proudly served West Hollywood as an AmeriCorps Fellow with Seeds of Hope. I've spent every Tuesday at Plummer Park setting up free farmers markets where seniors, families, and people experiencing homelessness line up for fresh fruits and vegetables. I've worked at West Hollywood community housing sites where I know the residents by name. In these spaces, I've witnessed what true community care looks like. It's the elderly woman who lines up every week to get fresh vegetables for herself and her homebound neighbor. It's the young parent learning how to turn donated produce into a healthy meal. But here's the reality. 60% of Seeds of Hope staff is funded by AmeriCorps. And with those federal funds being dismantled, West Hollywood residents will feel the loss. Sites like Plummer Park have been completely unfunded by the city. We've been holding it together with AmeriCorps resources and sheer determination, but with AmeriCorps funds disappearing, this safety net disappears too. I see the impact of our vital work every day. I've seen how much dignity and hope can come from something as simple as a bag of fresh produce, a recipe card in your own language, and a kind word when someone's feeling invisible. Tonight, I'm asking you to see what I see, to understand that this is not just a food distribution, it's public health, it's aging in place, it's community resilience. Seeds of Hope has been doing this work in West Hollywood for years, even when unfunded, but we cannot keep showing up at this scale, let alone expand to meet the growing demand without your full investment. And if we have to step back, it won't just be a program that's hemmed in. It will be hundreds of residents who lose access to this lifeline. Please fund this program so Hollywood residents aren't left behind. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel. Andrew Mendez, followed by Eugene Maysky.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Andrew Mendez. I am the Distribution Coordinator of Seeds of Hope, and I help to lead the free produce distribution at Plummer Park Farmers Market. What started during the pandemic with just dozen families has now grown to serve over 450 households every week. We are seeing about 15 to 20 new weekly signups. Despite this incredible growth, the Plummer Park program is currently run without dedicated funding from the city. Each week, we provide not only fresh fruits and vegetables, but also shelf-stable items, proteins, and milk. Also, all essentials for building healthy, balanced meals. These distributions are a lifeline for many in our community, especially seniors and low-income families. Getting this food to our West Hollywood sites takes a real effort. If you come to Plummer Park, you'll see us working hard, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. My day begins at 5 a.m. when I drive to pick up produce from Food Forward in the city of Bell. Then I drive it up to our satellite office in Hollywood, where I'm joined by 7 Seeds of Hope team members, mostly AmeriCorps fellows. Together we unload, aggregate, sort, and compost any spoiled items. After that, we load 2,000 to 3,000 pounds of food and fresh produce in our refrigerated van, headed out to our West Hollywood distribution sites, including Plummer Park. On site, our dedicated staff, volunteers, AmeriCorps team handles everything from logistics and setup to education and intake. Lately, we've seen neighbors picking up food for multiple households, sometimes 5 to 7 due to fear around ICE. With continued or new funding, we aim to sustain and expand our team, meeting growing demand and better serve West Hollywood residents. With your support, there will be fewer people run these distributions, fewer trusted staff connect with residents. Thank you for your time, and we hope to support.
Thank you, Andrew. And I apologize. Eugene will do you, and then we're going to go to Zoom. So, Eugene Maysky.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Chair Adelson, Vice Chair Williams, Commissioners, City staff. I'm Eugene Maysky, West Hollywood Tenant Outreach Organizer for CES, Coalition for Economic Survival, a 52-year-old nonprofit organization assisting, organizing, and empowering low and moderate income renters. And I'd like to emphasize tonight the empowering part of our work, because laws, rules, and regulations just existing out there are like instruments gathering dust. We empower tenants through tenants' rights education, organizing tenants associations and buildings, and teaching them how to use those tools. Speaking of tenants associations, in the past 5 years, we've created dozens of them in West Hollywood to make sure tenants can support each other and protect each other, share information, and not get harassed one by landlords. Tenants associations are like little unions of tenants in one building experiencing same problems, banding together to improve quality of life and quality of their tenancy. And yes, it takes a lot of after-hours meetings and accessibility on CES part and on me to work after hours, but as an organizer, I chose this job and I feel honored to serve the West Hollywood community and residents and our priority populations. But unfortunately, our priority populations are actually the most vulnerable populations at the same time. Our work is far from done, but we at CES are ready to continue this work, doing the outreach, legal clinics, and being available to tenants almost all the time. And I'm crazy this way, but you know how it works. That's why we're requesting funding to continue this city-funded program, to continue the work we've been doing for residents. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I don't get this.
Individuals on Zoom, first speaker will be Stephen Travasso, followed by Ash Patel. Please press *6 to unmute yourself. Thank you so much.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Stephen Trapasso. I'm the Executive Director of Seeds of Hope. First, I want to say thanks to the social services staff who have given us a vote of confidence to continue our current work and even expand it into 3 extra sites with this funding recommendation. I do want to talk about what full funding could mean for residents of West Hollywood. Over the last year, we've been trying to bring true wraparound services to West Hollywood, both at Plummer Park and West Hollywood Community Housing Corporation sites, pairing fresh food with on-site health screenings, social services navigation, and preventative care. But despite the growing and severe need, bureaucracy has actually kept those services from reaching West Hollywood residents. We spent a year going back and forth with Queens Care, city attorneys, social services staff, Parks and Rec, but insurance requirements, scheduling conflicts, and layers of approvals have dragged this out for literally over a year, leaving hundreds of residents without care they could have accessed in the same space where they already come for food. Queens Care provides services free of charge, but the process was buried in bureaucracy. That's why we went to Medi-Cal ourselves and DHCS ourselves and got approved to provide community health worker services, enhanced care management, and community supports directly through Seeds of Hope. We know what's needed, our participants tell us what they need, and we're ready to do it. But to deliver this comprehensive care, we need to be fully funded. Because here's the hard truth. If you give us only half of what we need, yes, we can bring food and cooking classes to the sites identified in our RFP, but we won't be able to provide community health screenings, navigation to keep people out of the yard.
Thank you, Stephen. Next up will be Ash Patel, followed by
Paul Chavez in the room.
Hi, just want to make sure you can hear me.
Yes, we can, Ash.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ash Patel, and I've been a resident of West Hollywood for over 12 years. I'm here to show my support for an increasing accessibility to harm reduction projects for our communities. I also want to applaud the city and its efforts in investing in harm reduction since it affects a very large part of West Hollywood. I believe a product like Defent One will increase testing and ultimately could help save lives as well. Personally, I know friends that have used these in the past, and they detected fentanyl and counterfeit pharmaceuticals. This is not only good for the user, but ultimately the safety of everyone around them. So I feel like this would be a great addition to help our community out, and I appreciate you allowing me the time to speak today.
Thank you. We've got Paul Chavez here in the room, followed by Chris Clarkin.
Hello, good evening, commissioners, staff. My name is Paul Chavez. I manage our WeHo Life contract for LA LGBT Center. Proud to say that I'm a community member in West Hollywood and former AlGap board member. I just want to first express my gratitude for our continued partnership and for the recommendation to increase our material funding. Really appreciate that. And I also just want to take this opportunity to give you all some more information that I think is important to make your decision tonight. Basically how our program has worked, I've managed a couple different programs and was able to leverage our funding from other programs to make that kind of like a force, a multiplier for WeHo Life. So instead of being just basically like a materials delivery program, which it would be with just the one person and material funding, it is what you all know today, which is a fully realized intentional engagement program that's been very impactful and successful. Those programs have went away, and I want to take this opportunity just to advocate for you all to consider funding our full proposal, which would allow us to continue the momentum that we've made thus far and the impact that we've made in this life-saving work that we've all been partners in to this point. So just want to again thank you all for the amazing work you do. The decisions you have tonight is the gravity of that I appreciate so much. Don't take that lightly, and I just thank you all for all the amazing work you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Chris Clarkin, followed by Kathy Watt.
And as a reminder to all our public speakers, if you could please speak into the mic so we can capture that audio. Thank you.
Yeah, watch out. Good evening, commissioners, city staff, and members of the public and my colleagues. My name is Chris Clarkin, a proud resident of the city of West Hollywood. I'm following in behind my colleague, Paul Chavez, to speak a little bit about the WeHo Life program. You know, so as Paul mentioned, well, first off, let me go backwards a second and say thank you very much for the current recommendation in increasing the funding around that will help support getting those items like fentanyl testing strips into people's hands. That is extremely important, and we're really proud to be able to do that work. But like Paul said, for the past 7 years or so, this project has been kind of co-funded and supported by contracts from Gilead or county public health contracts. And even myself, who was funded by that exact contract, you constantly see me out in supporting the projects and the work that we do, right? And that's what's allowed us to develop, to deliver that high visibility, impactful work that we were doing as WeHo Life, right? Those federal cuts, the anti-DEI processes, that's eliminated all of that. It's even eliminated the volunteer support that helped build every single one of those harm reduction kits that we handed out in the community. So like Paul was saying, we're here to advocate for, he's saying full funding, I'm even saying one more member of our outreach team to allow us to continue to do the work that you've gotten used to. We've created a lifestyle brand in West Hollywood. We've joined forces with AHF, APAIT, with Love Yoga, right? To create some of the most impactful harm reduction events that have gone on in this city. Without that additional person, we can see that kind of all that hard work that you've supported over the years can really start to decline. And none of us want to see that happen. So that's why we're here today, to just kind of give that little bit of insight to what would happen without that second person. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Kathy Watt, followed by Oshri Hakak.
Hi, my name is Kathy Watt. I'm the Executive Director at Van Ness Recovery House. Thank you for all your hard work. I've witnessed this process since it started. I go back to Jody Curley. So, Van Ness Recovery House submitted a proposal that is around job training, employment readiness for substance users who need the support to get on their feet. And under the city's, priorities was economic empowerment and workforce development and job training. And I know it's not fentanyl strips. I know it's not housing. I know it's not legal services. It could be. But it is something that is vitally important to lots and lots of people. If a newly sober person can get a job, they have structure. And if they have structure, they tend to stay on track. They learn about accountability, and their life tends to move forward. They tend to then make it to their 12-step meeting that night. The other part is we have incorporated GED and high school diploma classes with a local high school. And I have to tell you, when you see somebody who has struggled with substance use get a GED or a high school diploma, and they can now answer that question on a resume when they're seeking employment, it's wonderful for their self-esteem and self-worth. So should any of the people that are recommended for funding want to give up just a little bit, we would be grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Oshri Hakak, followed by Robert Bowler.
Hi, good evening. Good to see you again. And we wanted to thank you just for listening to us and for the stamina to really hear so many wonderful and worthy organizations out. We really appreciate that. And we would hope, we are, regardless of outcome, we are in West Hollywood, we are serving the West LA area, and we're stoked to continue that, to extend our work with the about 5,000 K through 12 kids that we reached last year. And I'm going to share a little story, as with last time. I'm going to give a little bit of the experience that I like to give when I present to kids. So I'll share about my mom, who graduated from Fairfax High around 1968. She has a sister she's been estranged from for most of her life. And she would have described the reason as, well, her sister's always just been mean, really difficult behaviors she had to create boundary from. And flash back to about 21 years ago, my grandmother passed away. My mom was looking through a journal of her mother, and she found, by chance, a journal entry. It said her sister, when they were kids, it was an entry from when they were kids. Her sister had been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. And my mom only found out when her mom passed away. So flash forward to a couple of years ago, my mom gave me a call. She said, "Oshri, I feel like my mom never let me love my sister." And it's a story that I get to share when we go to Fairfax High, because we do serve that school, and it's deeply meaningful. So if we can do a pilot, if we can do something, it'd be great to have that support and connection. We'll be here regardless. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Robert Bowler, followed by Jeff Harley.
Hello, everyone. Robert Bowler, Project Angel Food, Senior Director of Programs. I want to be brief. I know you have a lot of hard work tonight. I just wanted to make sure the commissioners know that we appreciate the support all through the years, as well as staff and city residents. And also, I want to make sure the residents and the commissioners know that Project Angel Food provides medically tailored meals for people who are critically ill. We home deliver those meals to your home. We provide up to 3 meals a day, and also we will provide a breakfast bag for any children in the home. So thank you again for your support, and we hope you're able to continue supporting us, and thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Robert. Jeff Harley, followed by Chrissia Serpas.
Sorry, I think you mean me, Jeff Bailey.
Bailey, sorry about
That's
that.
okay, not a problem. First of all, thank you so much for thoroughly reading all of our applications. And also, I appreciate the questions from 2 weeks ago, which I wanted to address first of all. With regards to our food pantry program, 200% of poverty level is $31,350. And we do have about 75 clients who qualify in that area in the city that are members of the city of West Hollywood. We currently distribute at the new Michael Gottlieb Clinic, and we do provide 100% of a person's RDA requirements each week. Unfortunately, the county just slashed our budget by 30%, meaning $900,000 will be reduced from our food pantry program, but we are hoping to continue it in its current format. With regards to our workshops, we combine those with our HIV and aging program, and we provide those here at the library and also at Fiesta Hall on what we call Third Thursday. So we do it right here in the city of West Hollywood, as well as our office space on La Brea. And I think the last question, there were some comments about being expensive, and I don't know what those were directed at, but I'm going to assume it's our harm reduction program, our crystal meth program. It's not cheap. It's based on an evidence-based contingency management model where clients are reimbursed every time what's called P for pay. So if their urine is clean, then they earn $350 and potentially earn up to $500. So you may have seen those expenses in the budget to support that particular intervention, so I wanted to clarify all of those. Apologies, I didn't stick around the last time, but for us veterans, in the past, the questions were sent to us through emails, so when you discussed APLA, I kind of jetted out of here, and I wasn't sure I was supposed to stay to respond. So, but I do thank you for those questions, and I hope that I was able to provide those answers for you. Okay.
Thank you, Jeff. Chrissia Serpas, followed by Vanessa Gutierrez. If you could tell us what organization you're coming from, that'd be great.
Yes. Hi, my name is Chrissia Serpas. I'm coming from World Harvest Charities and Family Services. So thank you so much for the opportunity to speak tonight on behalf of World Harvest. I'm a volunteer with World Harvest, and in my professional life, I also work directly with vulnerable and underserved communities here in Los Angeles. First, I want to thank the staff for coming and taking the time to visit World Harvest. We're very proud to welcome you and show you firsthand the quality of service and the nutritious food that we provide to our community. I truly wish that more participants and volunteers could be here this evening to share our services and the impact that it's had in their life. For many of them, given the current actions across Los Angeles, even the simple act of attending a public meeting feels a little too precarious. And under different circumstances, they would be here in a heartbeat to let you know how much World Harvest positively impacts not only their day-to-day lives, but their health and their economic stability. We're excited and honored at the possibility of partnering with the incredible organizations represented here tonight and also with West Hollywood. We believe World Harvest can make a meaningful impact in West Hollywood by expanding on food and nutrition programs and continuing to work to fight food insecurity. We look forward to working alongside our new friends in the city of West Hollywood to ensure that all residents, workers, students, and anyone in need have access to healthy and reliable food. Thank you again for your time, your compassion, and your commitment to ending hunger in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Vanessa Gutierrez, followed by Diane Hun and Lindsay Corcoran.
Hello, good evening, commissioners and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to provide a comment. My name is Vanessa Gutierrez. I am from Tarzana Treatment Centers. I am a program coordinator. I would like to offer some context regarding staff's recommendation to not renew our contract. We value our longstanding partnership with the City of West Hollywood and the shared goal to support community members experiencing substance use disorders. Regarding the residential treatment utilization, in the past 3 years, we have needed to submit an invoice to the city on 1 occasion. And with the exception of one, all other West Hollywood community members have been successfully connected to care through their own health insurance. And this should not be used as an indicator for underutilization. And just to give some examples, in fiscal year 2023 to 2024, there were 9 detox episodes and 2 residential treatment episodes. And currently in fiscal year 2024-2025, there have been 7 detox episodes and 3 residential episodes. So we believe this to be an important distinction for the commissioners to consider. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Diane Hun and Lindsay Corcoran, followed by Aaron Rafferty-Ryan.
Good afternoon, Commission. I'm the proud principal of Laurel Cinematic Arts Magnet, and this is our school psychologist, Diane Huynh. We applied for a very small grant from this commission because we believe that social isolation, addressing harm factors, start with young children and students. Our students are many of our students are new immigrant families. Our new immigrant population has quadrupled in size over the last 3 years, and we are seeking this grant to support our students' socio-emotional needs as they have been exposed in many cases to trauma and war and immigration and needing to ensure their own safety and their family safety. We did notice the gap in your analysis in regards to addressing parent education and early childhood, and we believe that our grant is a start to open that partnership and we can become a hub for especially the families on the east side of West Hollywood that are the more at need and at-risk families here in our community. And I'll pass it to Ms. Huynh.
Thank you. My name is Diane Huynh. I'm the school psychologist at the school, proudly providing services to students and families, students of various populations, special education, economically disadvantaged, students of immigrant heritage. And so over the 20 years of working as a school psychologist, there's been a big puzzle piece that's missing in fostering sensory regulation and executive functioning, and also to provide parent education in these arenas to draw family and community connection. So I highly hope that you consider our project and consider funding it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Aaron Raftery-Ryan, followed by Andy Saker.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to make a comment this evening and all the wonderful work that you do. My name is Erin Ryan, and I am the CEO of NAMI Westside Los Angeles. NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. We are the largest grassroots organization for mental health in the United States. Over 650 affiliates across the country, state and local, and we represent the city of West Hollywood. And that's why I'm here this evening. Again, we're new at this. This is something that, with the city of West Hollywood, this is our first time, our first rodeo, so again, we appreciate the opportunity. And just so to get you a little bit more acquainted with what we do. We really focus on youth mental health, providing support, education, and advocacy. We know that the LGBTQ curriculum is being erased from schools. July 17th, for the 3-digit crisis number 988, press number 3 for the LGBTQ+ community has been removed. We provide support, education, and youth mental health in schools. Our NAMI signature programs, like Ending the Silence, are evidence-based and have been proven to help. You heard from my colleague earlier, Oshri. He talked about a story about not even knowing that his aunt was diagnosed with schizophrenia. His mother had to die, and they found a journal entry for years later. The shame and stigma surrounding mental health, people don't talk about it. These programs allow children to know that they can talk about it. They're not alone. Teenagers are hard to connect with. We are doing it well. Our evidence-based programs addresses ACEs. So I really implore what you do and thank you, and please consider NAMI Westside Los Angeles proposal in this year of funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. Andy Saker, followed by Marjorie Gilberg.
Hello, Council. My name is Andy Saker. I'm the Program Manager for WehoWorks, JVS SoCal's location in West Hollywood. I wanted to thank you and staff for the recommendation. I just wanted to bring up a couple things about the reduction in the recommended amount. We're a small and mighty team here in the West Hollywood Library. We have basically 2 FTEs, or full-time employees. One of those FTEs is split into 2 so that we increase our diversity, and that's been really successful over the last year and a half. Our request is only 2.7% of your overall budget. We are the only full-time vocational services provider, and that seems, that's a surprising number. Staff's recommendation is to reduce that to 2.3% based on the amount that we give back per year, or have given back in previous years. We're hoping not to give any of that back to you this coming year and the years forward because of our diversity of staff. You know, retention in the nonprofit sector is really challenging, and we want to keep these salaries as high as possible. We really appreciate your consideration for full funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Marjorie Gilberg, followed by Gina Bigham.
Good evening. My name is Marjorie Gilberg. I'm the CEO of NCJW LA. We are proud to be a partner providing rental assistance to the City of West Hollywood for more than a decade, and I want to thank you all for your diligence in considering all these very competitive and important proposals this evening. From the survey tonight, affordable housing and rental subsidies appear to be some of the least accessed but most desired services by the community. I wanted to take an opportunity to clarify that our Thriving in Place proposal is an innovative model that combines rental assistance, financial literacy, housing navigation, and most importantly, if fully funded, direct cash to stabilize low-income rent-burdened West Hollywood residents with the aim of circumventing year-over-year requests for support. NCJWLA is grateful to be considered in the staff's recommendation for expanded support, and we look forward to continuing our longstanding partnership to keep WeHo housed. Thank you.
Thank you. Gina Bigham, followed by Joey Bachrach.
Greetings, Commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Gina Bigham. I am the Program Manager of the Trans Lounge at the Los Angeles LGBT Center. I have been a part of Trans Lounge since the very beginning. I'm one of the founders of the program. We are celebrating our 10th year this year, and in that 10 years, I could fill 3 rooms with the number of people that we have positively impacted. In a time, what I deal in is community, is support, and more importantly, joy. At a time when trans rights are being trampled, when our health care is being taken away, our dignity is being taken away, we need to stand up and to be accounted for a community that is suffering. And what I'm asking you is to consider an investment in joy and in community. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. Joey Backrack, followed by Claudia Abundis.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Joey Backrack, and I am the co-founder and CEO of Rainbow Hill Recovery, one of the only exclusively LGBTQIA programs for intensive outpatient in the entire country. I'm also someone in recovery myself, so this work is deeply personal to me. We are truly grateful for the $25,000 recommendation, so thank you for that. But I'm here to humbly ask that you consider increasing that amount. At $4,500 a month for IOP, which stands for intensive outpatient, that would only cover 5 clients for 1 month. And clinically, we know that people need at least 2 to 3 months in our care to build trust and to make lasting progress. Rainbow Hill specializes in treating both primary substance use and primary mental health. We serve queer and gender diverse adults, many of them in their late teens and 20s, who are navigating recovery, trauma, and identity all at the same time. And unfortunately, many of them come to us after being harmed by other programs that claim to be affirming. They were misgendered, dead-named, or told to hide who they are. That's not just poor care, it's treatment trauma. At Rainbow Hill, every single group that we have is led by queer, licensed, LMFT, LCSW, KDAC, or associate. Our programming is trauma-informed, culturally competent, and intentionally affordable. $4,500 for IOP and $2,000 for outpatient is far below market. With $75,000 to $100,000, we could serve 15 to 20 West Hollywood residents for the full length of care that they actually need. We're not just offering therapy, we're offering a space where people are finally seen, safe, and supported. I'd like to close with a story that happened today. We have a trans woman who okay, thank you.
Thank you, Joey. Claudia Abundis, followed by Valeria Moran-Campos.
Good evening. My name is Claudia Abundis. I lived in West Hollywood for many, many years. As a trans woman, I do guest services at the Trans Latina Coalition and the LGTB Center for a long time. And I just want to thank you for your support. And I want to thank you for the continuing support of the TRUE program of the Trans Latina Coalition. The TRUE program has helped me pay my rent. It has made my life more stable, and it has helped me focus on my personal growth. Also, the food incentives really, really helped, and I hope you continue to support this program, who are essential to our lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Valeria Campos.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Valeria Morán Campos. Soy parte del programa TRUE de Trans Latina Coalition. Para mí es muy importante que este programa pueda continuar, pues ha resuelto muchos aspectos importantes en mi vida, como tener una sostenibilidad viable con una vivienda, saber que ellos me puedan apoyar para pagar mi renta mes a mes. Y eso es muy importante para nosotras como mujeres trans, saber que tenemos alguien que está respaldando eso, que puede darnos ese soporte de ayudarnos no solo con pagar vivienda, sino que también otros programas como hormonas, también podernos ayudar, tener una sostenibilidad bastante muy buena. Por eso quiero pedirles a ustedes, comisionados, que puedan seguir apoyando el programa TRUE que lleva Trans Latina Coalition. Yo soy parte de la ciudad de West Hollywood porque trabajo en la ciudad de West Hollywood. Entonces conozco la experiencia de muchas mujeres trans que todavía no tienen como esa ayuda, pero gracias a este programa TRUE podrán seguir ellas refiriéndose para poder ser ayudadas a tener mes a mes ese apoyo de parte de su renta, de sostenibilidad, para que no sean un miembro más que no tiene una casa, que no tiene alguien que les ayude. Por eso es importante poder continuar a apoyar al programa TRUE, que para mí es un programa que ha cambiado mi vida, que ha dado un giro de 360 grados y sobre todo pues la importancia que sé que como mujer trans tengo respaldo de Translatina Coalition. Gracias.
Gracias, Valeria. Alexandra McGallen, followed by Marul Mitchell.
My name is Alexandra Magallon, resident of the city of West Hollywood and director of programs of the Trans-Latino Coalition. We are seeing currently in the administration the erasure of transgender, gender nonconforming, and intersex people across the board. And we are strategizing on ways to continue to speak for ourselves and to see and to make us visible. As I sat here watching the survey, I was reminded of the importance of the work that I do at the Trans-Latino Coalition, because I didn't see myself represented in the demographics of the people surveyed. And when we are residents of the city of West Hollywood, the least that we want to see is representation how we identify ourselves within these surveys. As a resident of the city of West Hollywood, I ask you to be intentional in providing services to transgender, gender nonconforming, and intersex folk, not just in the services that you provide, but when you conduct surveys. So it is important that we continue to provide these services for community by community. I ask that you continue to fund services for LGBT by LGBT organizations. And for the TGI community, the ones leading that path is the Trans-Latino Coalition. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you. Marul Mitchell, followed by Kira Polik.
I'm just going to take a guess and assume that was me, Marcel Mitchell.
Marcel,
That's
I'm
all right.
sorry,
I know
couldn't
the, I know
read
the handwriting is a little chicken scratches. Good evening, commissioners and staff. My name is Marcel Mitchell. I'm the director of programs at Essentia. I just want to thank you for taking the time to review our proposal for our emergency shelter program, emergency housing program, and retention program. I know you all had a very difficult decision with 47 applications. We'd just like to thank you for the opportunity to submit our proposal and thank you for your support. And we look forward to continuing our value partnership with the City of West Hollywood and helping unhoused community members. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcel. Kira Polik, followed by Parker Aguirre.
Hi, Commission. My name is Kira Polik. I'm the Director of Senior Services at the Los Angeles LGBT Center. I wanted to address you all today. I think this is not the first time you've seen me, many times in different ways, public speaking, talking about the work that we do with our older adults. We serve the LGBT older adults within the city. We've grown our program exponentially during the last 6 years to serve more and more older adults. I wanted to make a point of talking about the collaboration that we've had with you all as a commission, with the staff members, with the community, to really make sure that the needs of our older adults are supported through housing navigation, case management, food assistance, meals, all of the really essential and important services to older adults. We really want to thank the staff as well as the commission for that support and for the funding recommendation before you today. However, it is for us anyway, the recommendation of primarily level funding. And that is really hard during a time where our program has been attacked, where the center has been attacked, where we've lost a lot of federal funding. I'm asking that you reconsider that funding allocation and give us some additional funding to be able to support our staffing and our meals and all the things that we do this year. And also to think through, this is probably the third time I've done this funding cycle here with the Human Services Commission as we've gotten our contract back and reestablished our services. And I know that there have been other years that this commission has gone forward to City Council and asked for additional funding to support those nonprofits. And that we've seen recommendations to augment those services and the initial funding recommendations. So I'm asking today, as maybe the only person so far who has said that, if there is a way to increase the funding allocation amount to help support nonprofits. Thank you.
Thank you, Kara. Parker Aguirre, followed by Kane Elliott.
Good evening, commissioners and staff of West Hollywood. My name is Parker Aguirre, and I work with the Trans-Latina Coalition with our True West Hollywood program. I've seen many of our transgender, gender nonconforming, and intersex clients go from experiencing homelessness with no access to any services to radically transforming their lives. With programs funded like the True program, the clients are given a new path in their life. This path includes financial stability with rental assistance and other incentives, along with educational opportunities in a new trade for a career path, and access to a diverse network of services. Programs like these are vital, especially in times like this with the federal government the way it is. These programs not only transform lives, but they strengthen our community for the better. Thank you for your time and for supporting programs that make a real difference in the transgender, gender nonconforming, and intersex community.
Thank you, Parker. Kane Elliott, followed by Bambi Salcedo.
Good evening, commissioners and staff. My name is Kane Elliott. I began experiencing homelessness at 19. I am currently 22. At 22, I began to believe that there was absolutely no way out of that cycle, and that was until I went to the LGBTQ Center in West Hollywood. They got me connected with both Trans-Latina Coalition and APLA Health, and that's where I began to receive what I believe is my life-saving gender care. The True program as well, given by the Trans-Latina Coalition, is allowing me a pathway to safety and to my future career, something that otherwise I would not have access to. Thanks to programs like these, youth and homeless youth like me are capable of moving forward with their lives and finally dreaming of the future that we so rightfully deserve. I hope that stories like mine help highlight the importance of funding programs like such, and thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Bambi Salcedo, followed by Russell Yakra.
Greetings, beautiful commissioners. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here, and thank you so much for the staff and for their recommendations. My name is Bambi Salcedo, and I do have the privilege to be the president and the CEO of the Trans-Latino Coalition, which is now the biggest trans-led organization in the United States. As some of you may know, the Trans-Latino Coalition specifically has been named twice in Congress as a radical organization. And I'm here to affirm that the Trans-Latino Coalition is not radical. What we do is provide life-saving supportive services to our community. And that is not radical. That is liberation to our people. And I want to plea for all of you to consider fully funding our proposal. As you have heard, some of the people who testify who are accessing services at our organization have been able to change their lives in many ways, and that is what we do as an organization. As you know, the Trans-Latino Coalition has also been defunded about $1.5 million to the point where we had to close our center in El Monte and in Orange County. And so at this time to where trans people, gender expansive individuals, and intersex communities continue to be attacked politically, it is a time for all of us to stand in solidarity and to support one of the most vulnerable populations. I believe that we can do it, and I believe that we can change the lives of many members of our community. The hope is there. We just need to provide the hope intentionally and with the investment for our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bambi. Russell, followed by Jacqueline Chavez.
Hello, my name is Russell Ybarra, and Capital Drugs would like to thank the commissioners and the commission staff for all the hard work and decision-making you've had to do on the RPF process for 2025 to 2028. We hope that you will still consider Capital Drugs as an HIV PrEP testing site for the city of West Hollywood. As we know, that the West Hollywood Center, Center WeHo, has left Santa Monica Boulevard. And I looked up some old numbers, and the most recent numbers I could find for testing at that center were back 5 years ago in 2020, where they provided 40,000 HIV tests, and 9,000 clients were with sexually transmitted STDs, and 3,800 were consulted for PrEP. So SB 159 passed recently, and this allows pharmacists to allow PrEP for 2 months for a patient. So we'd hoped, now that we've moved on to SB 159, that you consider giving Capital Drugs the opportunity and start working with the new ways of prescribing PrEP, opposed to always going to a doctor and starting in a pharmacy and being given a worn handoff to a medical facility. So we hope you consider that, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Russell. Jacqueline Chavez, followed by Terry Goddard.
Hi, good afternoon, commissioners. I'm Jacqueline Chavez. I represent Community Bridge Housing. We're a small nonprofit organization led by individuals with lived experience. We applied to this grant kind of last minute because we were made aware of it last minute, but we worked very closely with the West Hollywood Care Team. They call us consistently to place individuals into our housing. We are the direct homeless housing providers. One thing that I like to say is some programs call themselves low barrier. Well, I like to say we're no barrier because there's nothing preventing a person from coming in and finding community pretty much. We did request a lower amount than what the staff recommended initially. I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and I'm hoping that maybe there could be some reconsideration on the staff recommendation amount. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Terry Goddard, followed by Joanna Wallace.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Terry Goddard. I'm the Director of Alliance for Housing and Healing. We are the housing division of APLA Health and Wellness. I want, first of all, to thank you for the long-term partnership that you have provided since the mid-1980s in financial assistance. We kept a lot of people from coming into homelessness. I started as a case manager in 1991. I've been working on this for over 35 years. I see the power that it impacts people, and I'm just very grateful for the opportunity to submit another proposal, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Terry. Joanna Wallace, followed by Ashley Weinberger.
Good night, dear commissioners. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here before you. My name is Joanna Wallace, and I am the new case manager for the two programs at the Trans-Latino Coalition. In my new role, I see the need of our community who are experiencing substance use and other addictions and homelessness. I have been working at the Trans-Latino Coalition for 2 years now. I was once a sex worker in this city. I don't have to do that anymore. I am a testament that when given an opportunity, we are able to change our lives. I am happily married now, and I have a job that I love. And I am able to help our members of my community who are deserving opportunity. Please provide recommendations for the Trans-Latino Coalition to be fully funded. You will see that your recommendations, investments will save lives in the transgender, gender nonconform, and intersex community, who is the most vulnerable in these political times. Thank you very much for your time. Good night.
Thank you, Joanna. Ashley Weinberger, followed by our last speaker, David Flores.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ashley Weinberger. I'm here with Los Angeles Centers for Alcohol and Drug Abuse. So first and foremost, I wrote the proposal. I am not a public speaker, and I had come up with this whole plan to get one of the people I had proposed for the program to actually come up here and do the speaking, because he's like really way better at that than I am. And for those of you who know Mikey Cativo, you would probably agree with me. So he unfortunately is at home with COVID. I actually don't know if I'm allowed to say that out loud, but he's so mad that he can't be here, and so he really disrupted my plan. So I actually got him to write what he would say to you, and I'm gonna read it out loud. So this is from Mikey Cativo. He says he would like to thank you for your recommendation. Also, staff, thank you from me too. And we really do want to thank you for even considering us, and also for we want to let you know that our team is ready to work in West Hollywood streets. We come here with a lot of willingness. I know we come here with a lot of experience, and then we come here with a lot of humbleness and just a all-around eagerness to work. And we really appreciate the consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. David Flores.
Good evening, commissioners and West Hollywood staff. Thank you so much for this opportunity to make comment. My name is David Flores. My pronouns are he, him, and él. I am the Associate Director of Community Programs at the Los Angeles LGBT Center. I oversee various programs aimed at creating safe spaces, community connection, and a sense of belonging for LGBTQ+ and BIPOC individuals all across LA, including those that reside here in the city of West Hollywood. But today I'm here to specifically speak on the Trans Lounge program. You heard from Gina earlier today, and you know the history with Trans Lounge and the impact that they've made to all residents of LA County and beyond. And you heard her plea for you to reconsider actually funding the program. And investing in a program that will continue to support and create safe spaces and a sense of belonging for trans and gender expansive individuals that live or happen into West Hollywood. Now, more than ever, it is important to elevate and support trans-specific programs like Trans Lounge to ensure individuals are able to connect with others. Additionally, I would also like to echo that you reconsider fully funding organizations like Trans Latina Coalition. Thank you so much for your time and for your consideration. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much. So that concludes our public speakers, and I want to check with the commission to see if anyone is interested in taking a brief break. And do we need to make a motion to do that? 5 minutes. Do we have a motion? Yeah.
Yes.
According to
A
this.
second. Motion to break for 10. I second it. Okay, so I have a first from Commissioner Still and a second from Commissioner Barali.
For 10?
10 minutes?
All right.
Okay.
Roll call.
Please, public, do not approach the commissioners and talk about this. Brief 10-minute break. Thank you.
Thank you. The bell.
Thank you all. If you could please find your seat, we'll be getting started.
All right. We are back. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to all of our speakers for being here tonight and sharing with us. With that, we are moving into the commission deliberation, and the way we're going to do this is go by commissioner and allow each commissioner to speak about what they want to, raise any concerns, discuss anything that they want to see different, and I'm going to start with Commissioner Steele.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to all of you for joining us, and thank you to staff for putting together a really thoughtful presentation and taking our notes and feedback, community input, but also from the last meeting. I feel like from what we've seen, the voices were really heard, and I just want to honor that and say thank you to all staff. Overarchingly, look, it's a horrible time. There is such a heavy need, as you can see by the requests that we received, and I think that's only going to continue. The landscape of what's happening on a national level is certainly affecting us here locally, and we see that in the cuts in funding and programming, and so we certainly understand it. And I think we'll be having a lot of conversation in the coming years about what, in addition, we can do. I wanted to speak specifically about a few things that I'd like to make adjustments on. I'm just going to kind of lay out all my thoughts, and then I would like to see defense diagnostics fully funded. I have some thoughts on the dollars on this as well. I think that $10,000 is, I think, close to what was executed at Pride. I don't see how an appropriate level of programming can be executed with that funding. And so I think that's the first thing. The second thing is I'd like to find $94,500 to add on to the staff suggestion of $10K to bring that up to the fully funded $104,500. And I will get to where that can come from potentially if the fellow commissioners agree. I had a lot of sentiments that echo what Kathy had to say about Van Ness recovery. I think it is so critical to acknowledge that in the priority work that has been set forth by the city and has been done by Human Services, the workforce development, the economic development, the job readiness, when it comes to recovery, is a very different animal. And what Van Ness is providing, what they do provide, the LIFT program, how they execute that program, and the importance of that job readiness incorporated with recovery services on a day-to-day basis, I think is extremely important. I think it's $75,000 we could and should find. And then finally, I would like to see Rainbow Labs get partial funding. I would advocate for $50,000 for Rainbow Labs. I think that this is a program for LGBTQ youth. It is education, and I think it is critical that we support our youth in crisis, as we know, but I also would like to see more of that in their development and in their education and in their growth. That's a program that happens at Fairfax High. They use LGBTQ mentors, and I think they have a large pool to pull from the city of West Hollywood and the residents here. So I would advocate for $50,000. Now on to the where. Community Bridge, I am in full support of receiving the $60,000 they requested. I see the additional $38,818 proposed by staff. They didn't request that. I'm unclear if that's what was intended, was to give some of that money to someone who may need it by the speaker, but what I will say is I would like to see that money moved back into the general pool for funding and reallocated to another organization who might use those funds. $60K is what they asked for. I think we can deliver that, and then certainly re-examine that as we move forward. And then finally, I appreciate moving all of the programming there into Healthcare in Action. I think what they do is great. I would suggest that if we move $180,000, $180,682, $180,682 out of Healthcare in Action, that still leaves them with a total of $1,173,487. That is a 102% increase. I don't think any other providers received that increase, unless I'm mistaken. That is a large amount of funding. It's a great program. And just to speak a little bit, because I didn't, about defense diagnostics, I know we talk about having harm reduction and harm reduction being offered in other services. Well, when we were hearing the presentation for staff, they justified the funding for being alive by utilizing the defense fentanyl strips. And so I want to make sure we understand the importance of that, right? We are already cross-pollinating. We are already seeing these programs working, but $10,000 executing at Pride. What we know is I believe from my understanding, every single one of those kits was taken, every single one of those kits was used. There's a broader spectrum of testing involved with those strips in comparison to some other strips that are available, and I think it's an extremely important part of the process. If we pull the 38,818 and the amount that I suggested from Healthcare at Action, which is $180,682, we could fully fund Van Ness. We could fully fund Defense by adding 94.5 to the staff suggestion of 10K, and we could also add 50,000 for Rainbow Labs and allow them to have a program based in West Hollywood. I do want to say that I am in support of the Trans Lounge. I do think the work is extremely important. I would request that we speak to council and try to have that money come from the ACAC. I think that is where that money should come from. I celebrate Trans Joy and the importance of that program, and I certainly support Trans Latina Coalition, and I hope there's some additional funding we can find, but those are my asks and recommendations for today.
Thank you, Commissioner Steele. Who would like to go next? Commissioner Wyville, are you?
Sure, why not? It actually makes sense because I feel that many of my recommendations are quite similar to Commissioner Steele's. Point of clarification, would the time for clarifying questions be best now or after my points from staff? I just have a few.
Staff are available for questions, including supervisor manager and the program administrators, if you have questions about specific programs.
Okay, great. I will start with my points and then maybe make it to a question at the end. I was very happy to see staff recommendations. I thought this was very well put together, so thank you all for all of the work that you put into this. And thank you to all the members of the community for joining tonight. This is a long, drawn-out process, but it's really important, and hearing everyone's voices over the last few months has been really helpful, I think, to understand which services our community needs right now, and just echoing the points that have been made throughout this entire process. Federal budget cuts are going to hurt the community, and the city is stepping up, but the city also has limited local revenue. So I guess actually first question for staff. Given the cost sharing structure that we create with community organizations, do we have plans in place given, let's say the bulk of the other revenue is federal funds that are cut within the next year? What sort of systems are in place to ensure whoever we're working with is able to continue their services?
That's part of our evaluation too, is looking at the cost sharing, because we want to make sure that the organization is sustainable, that for other clients that are not West Hollywood can be served in addition to West Hollywood. Our funding only goes so far, so we can't fund an entire organization for all of their work.
Sure.
It's only a small percentage of those clients, so we look at that cost share, and that's part of our evaluation.
Got it. Thank you. And on some of the new organizations that were recommended, very supportive of a few and have questions about a few that weren't funded, but could you talk about the visits that staff makes to the sites and what you take into account, maybe just for the commission to know and also the community?
So the staff who visited the site we did something a little differently this year to make it fair for the applicants. The staff who reviewed the proposals were not the staff who went to the site visits, so we can get two different perspectives about the program. And so what we asked staff to do was go to the program, ensure that there's accessibility, ADA compliance, that they're inclusive. We have a set questions about their program to ask them from start to finish to explain the program, explain how people are getting to the program, how the referral system works, and so on. And staff also looked at their organizational capacity and their staffing. They looked at collaboration and partnerships with other agencies here in West Hollywood, and they had major strengths and key concerns and gaps in service that they found for each site visit, and they also had a recommendation as well.
Thank you. Much appreciated. I think those are all my questions, so just on to my few points. Would definitely love to see defense diagnostics funded at a higher level. I think one of the pieces in the RFP that really stood out to me was the vending machine piece, putting those in public spaces in the city. I don't believe we have any in the city as of now. Is that correct?
That's correct, as of right now.
So I think that, you know, if there's a way to pull funding from, I don't know where, but the Community Bridge Housing Corps, appreciate your comments, and I think if they are being overfunded, that is one place. I think that the vending program is great. It's really innovative, and I think will give community members less, you know, shame and stigma. I think the mail program is great too, but I don't think the 10,000 is enough for that organization. And I also am a big supporter of Rainbow Labs, given that childcare and after-school care is a big priority population. We're only funding the preschool program, which is wonderful and I fully support, but I would like to see a partial program funded from Rainbow Labs. Maybe it's one program, maybe it's two programs, but that would be a priority of mine. And then actually last question from Rainbow Hill Recovery speaking earlier, the, where is it at? The pool of service funds. I forget what the term is. Could you just explain how that works?
Sure, it's a fee-for-service contract, so it depends on how much you spend per person. You would invoice the city, and we would reimburse you up to $25,000 for each contract. So we would have we're recommending $50,000 worth of treatment pool of funds, and two providers to have $25,000 each to spend.
I see. So the treatment pool of funds is for those two providers, but they would be split equally.
Correct.
Understood. Okay. That's all my questions and all of my points for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wyville. Commissioner Palmieri, are you ready?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just want to thank everyone for coming out. The proposals were, I could tell you put a lot of hard work into it. It was a banner year for us with the amount that we had. I just want to go through a few, and I might have a couple of questions for staff. I don't know who I'll ask it to, but I guess I'll direct it to Derek, and you can take it from there. I want to be very, very clear about Venice House's program. I'm not sure that it appears clear, but this is a program that will provide follow-up to folks that are just getting out of recovery. And yes, I understand that there are job services. We all understand that. But this is a very specific demographic, and this will be taken care of by someone that is trained to do this. I really, really want to see this project proposal funded in full. And as far as where they can go with this, years and years and years ago, we started a GED program at the what was the name of the house? The Jeff Griffith Youth Center. And that has gone on to not only GED, but now college credits and people graduating, going to college and graduating. And that was a very specific demographic, LGBT youth. So I think this needs to be looked at very cautiously and carefully, and I hope that my colleagues would agree with me on this. It's one of the programs that I think need to be fully funded. I'm in agreement with a lot of what Commissioner Steele says. As far as diagnostics, I also understand, and this is what I do most of my life, is work with folks that are having drug addiction problems or trying to get them into recovery services and making sure they're staying alive. I do understand that we have fentanyl sticks. I get it. They're not as broad spectrum as this. They could say that there's no fentanyl, but there's a different type of fentanyl. This tests for more. I really, truly believe that this particular program needs to be funded because we need to move on into what the younger folks are going to buy into. And it's going to be something tech. And that's what this is. So I hope that my colleagues might also agree with that and possibly get some money funded to that, if not all. I just need to say, the reason that I seem so disorganized is because for 15 years, I've been asking for larger print, believe it or not, and I still can't get it. So maybe now that there's 100 people listening, I can get it. But right now, I have to just work through these tiny things. So I'm not disorganized. It's very hard for me to see. Just give me one second. So the new, Derek, the new recovery center that we're funding, I'm assuming, and from what I've read, I just want to make sure I very clearly understood this. They do medical detox.
Let me get back to you. I'm going to go through that.
Well,
proposal
I know that someone's here from there.
The public comment period is over. This was not a question and answer period, so let me just refer back to their proposal, and I'll get right back to you.
All right, thanks. I think I read it in their proposal. I think it's pretty much I need to be abundantly clear how supportive I am of the trans community. I remember the first March of Hate that we had in West Hollywood, and I was holding Bambi and Maria Roman's hand, and we were walking in the front, and although we were a little bit scared because there were some threats, we did it, and it's just grown exponentially from there. The trans community has become more and more visible due to the hard work of our trans activists and advocates. I wish we could fund everything, but as you heard, we have $8 million against an $18 million ask. It's very difficult for us. We try to do the best, and we try to give as much and as best we can to where we think the services are needed. So I want to make sure that any trans folks out there know that I'm completely in support of them. As far as, just give me 1 second, because I don't want to miss anything. Okay, with WehoWorks, and everybody knows that I don't like to agree with my colleague, Commissioner Borelli, but he has time and time again asked for services to be up on Sunset also. And I think it's imperative that we take a look at that, because even if this is geared to LGBT, I don't even think it's only geared to that, but we have folks on the Sunset Boulevard, they may be identifying as het or straight, but they may be also having sex with folks from Santa Monica Boulevard. So I truly think that we need to take a look at that. Oh, yeah, WeHo Life. What did I say, WehoWorks? I'm sorry, WeHo Life. Very sorry, can't see. Okay, can you hear me? I was a little bit concerned with the cost of pathways, and not that I don't support pathways, because I do. So we had to look up comparable costs in the county of Los Angeles, and come to find out they are very much in line with that. And so I'm fully supportive of this. I did think this is very expensive, but clearly it's not. And I don't have kids, so clearly I don't know. And when I don't know, I'm the first person to say it. So there you go. I had one question. Just give me a second, folks. Thank you for your patience.
Commissioner Palmieri, while you're looking that up, I can just tell you what on the scope of work for Rainbow Hill.
Okay.
It is partial hospitalization program and intensive outpatient program.
So I took the inpatient hospital program as being medical detox. Am I correct in assuming that?
If somebody from Medical Labs can come to the desk and clarify for me, I can answer Commissioner Palmieri, because it's not clear in their proposal. It does not mean residential. It's not residential. It's a program. It's longer days during the day. Thank you very much. So they're all outpatient programs.
I'm sorry?
They're all outpatient programs.
No, no, that's who, I'm asking from the Los Angeles Drug and Alcohol. I'm very sorry that I didn't make that clear. That's
okay.
what I'm looking for.
Licata, okay, give me 1 second, I'll go through Licata. Licata has different types of facilities, whether that's residential, outpatient, those with acute mental health challenges, people who are trans. They have an LGBTQ plus outpatient program, but let me look through their proposal to ensure that there is medical detox listed in there.
My one concern, Derek, and I'm sure that you know where I'm getting at, is that we only had one provider that was providing us with medical detox, and I want to make sure that anything that we change, we still have that available to our constituents.
Correct.
Yeah.
Organizations can still refer to Tarzana. They're not using our money for detox. They're using Drug Medi-Cal. So
Okay.
Drug Medi-Cal is a primary funder for detox at Tarzana.
Okay. All right, so but you'll look up the other one? I'd appreciate it. What else am I looking at here? I support funding for Rainbow Labs. I support, I just want to make sure that I wrote everything down. If I haven't mentioned your org, it doesn't mean I'm not interested or don't support it. I just wanted to get to the points that I had to, and hopefully move on to my colleagues, but I'm sure it's going to come back to me at some point. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I think Commissioner Steele, you do have something you wanted to add on to that before we move on?
Yeah, I just wanted to offer that when I listened to the board and commission feedback on all of the different, the process overarchingly, we heard quite a bit from our Disability Advisory Board and our Older Adult Person Advisory Board about large print documents and accessibility and needing support with that. So I'm hoping the city, we can be a driver of that and that we can understand how frustrating that can be for our colleague here, but also that it's a constant community ask. And so I think if somebody wants to be the steward of that, however that works, it would be really lovely to see, all staff departments getting trained up and doing large print documents. Sorry, thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Ayers, would you like to go next?
I don't see anything here for medical detox.
I'd like to thank all of the organizations who applied for this contract cycle. West Hollywood is lucky to have you all in our community. We really are. We have a bounty of riches. Unfortunately, we don't have a budget that reflects that. But that you all exist and are interested in providing services in this city is just, it's amazing, and I thank you for that. Kira had mentioned from the LA LGBT Center Senior Services the recommendation that we ask for more money. And just so you know, we did. And council heard us. And they increased the budget by, I think, about $1 million, didn't they? Right? So just so you know, we're on it. And we did get the budget increase, so now it's a total of $8.2 million, which is a good chunk of change. And unfortunately, it's not more, but we are always asking for more money. And I want to thank the staff because they wrestled a bear in looking at all of this information, all of the evaluations, contributing their own evaluations, and putting together these recommendations. And I agree with their approach. First off, it might not have been mentioned, but foremost in previous comments from the city was the priority to maintain a continuum of care so that people who are currently receiving services from the city of West Hollywood don't suffer a breakage in that care or, be forced to transition to another program when life is already difficult. So that continuum of care is reflected in the staff recommendations. And I really appreciate the approach to expand services for food and nutrition, HIV prevention, care and support, housing security, and substance use disorder and harm reduction. I think everyone on this commission kind of agrees with those priorities, and we like to see that reflected in the staff recommendations. I like that the survey of the city community reflected priorities of housing and public safety. And it was interesting that the survey showed that, well, transportation was the #1 thing that people were aware of and that they used. Not my commission, but, but it's great that they're aware of these services. What I really liked seeing was people were aware and they used services in the area of HIV and STI prevention and care, and sexual and reproductive health services. That I wrote next to that, yay. It's a big yay that the people in our community knows that these are services provided by the city and people are actually using them. I like that for the new organizations that have been recommended to receive contracts, that they will be on a provisional status. That's not new, but it's an ongoing thing, and that's a good thing, because the city does tend to go with organizations that are tried and true. Some have been with the city for decades, and they've grown over the decades, and they've adapted to new things with the city, and new organizations don't have the same solid footing sometimes. So that's a good thing that we have going forward. I agree with the commissioners who spoke in support of Van Ness Recovery House. Their program, I think it's a little bit of money that goes a long way. I would like to see a way for us to include them. I love the Rainbow Labs program, but I think that might be better suited to a Parks and Rec program if Rainbow Labs is open to that. And some of the other programs that the staff is not recommending, Block by Block and Coalition to Abolish Slavery and Trafficking, those were 2 programs that I really, really liked, but I would love to see, rather than fight for them here, I'd like to see the Public Safety Division take those up and maybe have a conversation with those organizations on maybe a way to move forward there. Let's see, what else? There's so much. Okay. It pains me to see what the TGI community is going through these days. And I really want to see the city find a way to support the TGI community and providing the services that they deserve. If we're going to cut the outreach aspect of the Trans-Latina Coalition program and hand it over to Healthcare in Action, I would hope Healthcare in Action would employ a trans-identified person to do outreach. It's just going to be really important that whoever takes the lead in the city's street outreach have trans-identified people in that outreach team, if it's not coming from the Trans-Latina Project or Coalition. But something tells me that the force behind the Trans-Latina Coalition is going to remain strong, and they're going to do outreach no matter what. But you know, okay. And one thing that concerns me about taking money away from Healthcare in Action's outreach is the fact that what the staff is proposing is that they become the lead in a streamlined street outreach program. So I wouldn't want to take too much money away from them and leave basically gaps And let's see. I think that's really all I have. I'm largely supportive of the staff recommendations. I think it's impressive what you put forward. I think the city would be doing good if this is what was adopted. But yeah, if y'all want to fight for Van Ness, I'm on Team Van Ness for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Borelli.
Oh, I got to look up. I kept looking down. Of course, I watched it last time around. Thank you for the survey. Very helpful to have. Thank you, Richard, for the information. We also hope that you get that survey to our communications team to see where our funding, where our outreach gaps are, and what we need to do to bring more people in. I think it's very telling what people are really concerned about and what they know and don't know. I'll say this from housing security, of course. That is a huge component of what people every day are concerned about. I remember Vice Mayor Heilman speaking in 2015 at an event, and he said 6,000 West Hollywood residents live below the federal poverty line. And I think people forget that because we're such an affluent community. As far as the budget, as Commissioner Ayers mentioned, we've tweaked and pushed and cajoled and shown up at budget subcommittee meetings to ask for more money. So we definitely heard you, and we know that we need to get this. That said, the city can't save every funding cut that the feds have made. So this is really challenging. And I do want to applaud the staff. My first run through was like, wow, hearts and heads in the right place. So thank you very much, city staff, for having your hearts and your head in the right place. Very challenging because you also build relationships with the folks that you're working with. So thank you for that. I think you heard us a lot 2 weeks ago about duplicative, and we don't need to necessarily spend money in areas that we're covering a lot, especially I think in street outreach. So I'm glad that we are streamlining that. That is very important for this. I do agree, and I think it was my dear friend, fellow commissioner, elder statesman, Palmieri, who made mention of how I bring up, we are doing a disservice, and I'm going to say this especially to the women of our community, if we're not reaching beyond Santa Monica Boulevard with harm reduction components. So I'm still struggling, and I wish there would be some other way to make that happen, and we can go to the council directly and get some money in that department, because it doesn't make me happy. And we like me happy. Overall, as Commissioner Ayers said, I really was generally in agreement with the staff, so I thank you for really thinking this through. I do have some questions or concerns. Like some of my fellow commissioners, it's great to hear you guys are smart. Van Ness was one that I highlighted and thought, I really wish we could do something here. This is a really important component. This is, talk about housing insecurity and getting a GAD and getting the right footing so you're not going back to the streets or going back to drugs and alcohol, and you're able to make your way. I wish we would find some money for Van Ness's inexpensive program. For the DEFENT program, I do think we could expand this, but bluntly, I'd go with the staff recommendation and have DEFENT go directly to council and ask for the other component of it with the vending machines, because I think it reaches a different group of folks. Similarly, while I like the fact that we have given more money to Men's Healthcare Foundation, I do wish we had considered Capital Drugs. It is closer to where the WeHo, the LA LGBT Center's WeHo location was. They serve a lot of folks already. It's active street life, so that would be one of my few that I wish we would consider differently. I will say that going back like Karen said, there's a lot to go here. This budget is pretty amazing. I have a sister with a catastrophic illness. She's lived in Huntington Beach and Newton, Massachusetts. The services we provide here in our tiny little city are nothing like Huntington Beach or Newton, Massachusetts, both affluent communities that have the money to support their residents, and they just don't. And not in the ways that we do. From little kids in daycare to centenarians living in our rent-controlled building. So I would go along if we can try to find a way to support Van Ness's program and potentially Capital Drugs as another option if my colleagues are looking to do that. I will say I do abstain from voting on the Episcopal Church Seeds of Hope, as they do support WHCHE residents. WHCHE is my day job, and while that money doesn't come to my organization, it does support our residents. So I do abstain on Seeds of Hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Borelli. Vice Chair Williams.
One of the things when you're the vice chair and chair, everyone says everything before you get to it, so ditto. I just want to say thank you to everyone who showed up here, everyone who is sitting here with us now. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your time writing the grants, doing the proposals. It's not easy work, and they were judged on a pretty fair evaluation rubric. So thank you for being here. Thank you for everything you're doing. And staff, amazing. This was amazing work that you put together. I really appreciate it, as it's been echoed by my fellow commissioners. I pretty much mirror and agree with my commissioners, my fellow commissioners. They're not my commissioners, my fellow commissioners. I was surprised when I didn't see Van Ness House on there. I've been a commissioner off and on for the past 15 years, and Van Ness has always been there, providing the type of sobriety work that we need after when one reaches a certain level. So I hope we can find something somehow, somewhere. And then the defense diagnostic that Commissioner Palmieri can hold up as a guide. Oh, I get it. Thank you. I think this is very important for people in the city of West Hollywood, and I think we need to concentrate on making it available to everyone who partakes in any kind of social, alcoholic celebrations in West Hollywood, and that we make this, we put more money into it. That's what I'm hoping for. There's a lot of things I'd like to talk about, but for the sake of time and the celebration of my fellow commissioners, thank you for all your input. It's very smart, it's very valuable, and I don't want to triple what you've said, but thank you for your input and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Vice Chair. She's not wrong that it is nice being last, because everyone has basically said what I think that we both believe up here. Huge heartfelt thanks to all of the nonprofits and community-based organizations that applied and that are here tonight and are sticking with us at this hour. This is a very challenging time for nonprofits. So really appreciate the hard work that you're doing for our community here in West Hollywood and the community at large, and for the time that you put into these applications and proposals. And to staff, I just have to say it, I know everybody already said it, but this is really hard. And as one of the fellow commissioners mentioned, that this is also personal for so many of you. So I can only imagine the deliberations that went into this. And so thank you all so much. I am a massive bleeding heart, so I am still trying to figure out if there's money somewhere. Like we look like for loose change in the parking lot and see what we can come up with. But I agree. I agree with the staff recommendations. I also agree with my fellow commissioners about Van Ness recovery. That was one that stood out to me. Defense diagnostics stood out to me, and capital drugs. Thank you, Commissioner Borelli, for bringing that up. I think since COVID, the West Hollywood business community has also struggled, so this is a great opportunity for us to support the business community while also providing the resources that our community members need and that they can provide. So unless anyone has anything else to say?
Chair, May I add one more point?
Yes,
Thank
please.
you. I appreciate everyone's comments, and I just wanted to add one final point. As we are responding to so much that's happening at this national level, I just do want to remind my fellow commissioners the importance of, looking out for the young people in our community. I think young people are often overlooked, and so I'm a big fan of Rainbow Labs and Rainbow Hill, supporting both young queer people in middle school and elementary school being affirmed for who they are, and then young queer people my age, close to my age, who are going through substance use disorder and the mental health epidemic that faces so many young people. So I just want to make that one final point, and thank you all for this conversation.
Thank you. Any other final comments, Commissioner Steele?
Yes, I'm not sure, this is my first rodeo in terms of this process, so forgive if there's something incorrect. I trust you to let me know. But I did some math while listening to my fellow commissioners, and if, rather than my first proposal, just to toss another option at you that includes capital drugs, if we were to give Van Ness $75K, Rainbow Labs $30K, and do a reduction there, I don't know that Parks and Rec can fund it. I think it's an important question for staff. That's a program that happens at Fairfax High, so I'm not clear that we could fund that from a different program, although maybe you have the answer to that before I continue. If you do, sorry.
I can tell you the staff position on Rainbow Hill. We do not recommend that program.
Not Rainbow Hill, I'm talking about Rainbow Labs, and my question is there
Rainbow
funding
Lab.
available for Parks and Rec? Regardless of our decision here today, is that something that is an appropriate ask? Could they go to Parks and Rec, and would that be an option at all for them to get funding?
That's not part of our budget, so we wouldn't be able to answer that.
No, so we don't know what the capabilities are of the Parks and Rec
Correct.
funding. Okay, so well then we as a commission can't suggest it to the public, so.
And I would just like to add about staff recommendations, just to give you our reasoning for that. So Rainbow Hill does not have a program at Fairfax High. This is seed funding for that program. They do not have an MOU with the principal, nor do they have a program that can demonstrate how many West Hollywood community members will be served. Fairfax High is outside of the city, so for proposals that we receive, we have to see how many West Hollywood community members will be served, and that couldn't be demonstrated in the proposal, so we do not recommend it. Rainbow Labs, yes, not the substance use one. It is after-school programming, yes.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. I'm obviously aware Fairfax High is outside of the city. West Hollywood, as many of the organizations we're funding, also do a large amount of work in LA County based on their own input. But if we were to fund, and we can figure out the Rainbow Labs conversation, but if we were to, and I understand that's also funding for the program and the MOU, but it is a startup. This is part of what the city has said they wanted to offer, is to offer programming to new organizations as well, so I just think it's an important thing to factor in. If we were to offer Van Ness $75,000, the full funding, Rainbow Labs $30,000, give or take, depending on what everybody feels like, Defense Diagnostics $60,000. We could also add in $50,000 for Capitol Hill, and that would bring Capital Drugs. Sorry, it's the Hill. You did that to me, Derek. Sorry, Capital Drugs. I apologize. If we were to do that and take the $38,818 from Community Bridge that I earlier proposed, then we would only need, I believe, $176,182 as my proposed amount from Healthcare in Action, which is less than I originally suggested, and they're still receiving well over 102% increase on their funding. So to me, that funds 4 other programs, maybe a little startup. If it feels very strongly, we can certainly go to council and talk about Rainbow Labs, and I absolutely hear you and appreciate and respect your input, but I think we need to have a little bit of conversation about, I appreciate agreeing with the staff, and I certainly agree with the body of work, but we are also here to be the voice of community, and I think if we have a way to look at, and I say this with someone with a plane to catch, right? Like, I don't want to be here till midnight, but at the same time, could we look at it? Could we talk about, hey, we've got 4 other things we can fund. I'm not precious about how we slice it. I just want to have a responsible conversation about the funding and say, could we carve it up? Could we talk about it to add to the staff suggestion for council commissioners?
Can we offer something? We hear you about Van Ness, and something that could be an option is to add them to the treatment pool of funds, add an additional $25,000 to that for their fee-for-service contract. That would allow us to engage with them and kind of meet in the middle where you all are suggesting.
Will that affect, because I think they were workforce development. Was
I don't, Van Ness is, we're not, I think and I read this over and over and over, this is for a lift program, not their in-house treatment program. This is for after someone is beyond treatment or finished treatment and is going next to possibly get a job. They're being trained in a way that possibly they couldn't be trained, they'd have stigma with any place else. So I think this is really important, but I don't know how that would happen with a treatment pool of funds.
The offer is not treatment use of pool of funds. My apologies. It's $25,000 for a fee-for-service contract.
Yeah.
Can I make a motion that we amend the recommendation from staff to include a fee-for-service for amount of $25K for Van Ness?
I don't know how that would work, fee for service with this.
Community members who are enrolled in the program, we could negotiate a cost for that per day or per week or per session with Van Ness Recovery House, and possibly get maybe 3 or 4 people into that service and do fee-for-service contracts instead of a lump sum amount with the organization.
So do we want to? Yeah, okay.
I know we can't fully fund everybody. I'm clear on that. I just don't think $25,000 for this particular program is enough.
Christine, I want to hear your.
Great, thank you. Just a quick point of clarification in terms of process.
Yeah.
So after this meeting concludes, whatever recommendations that the commission brings forward, staff will take a staff report to the council, and staff will present a set of recommendations. Those recommendations that staff presents may be the same recommendations that were in the staff report presented to the commission tonight. We may make some adjustments based on the public testimony and the commission's final direction. We will also include in that staff report a summary of the deliberation and the final recommendations of the body, so that the council and the public have a full accounting of the Human Services Commission's recommendations. So we're not at this point moving forward with negotiating with any of the agencies. We are taking a set of recommendations to the City Council, and then we will take council's direction and then finalize contract negotiations and execute contracts subsequent to that.
Got it. So at this point, are we making a motion then not to approve the recommendations as they are, but to go back and review some of these ones that we just highlighted?
You can, you all can motion in whatever way that you think best suits the needs of the commission as a body. That could be to approve the staff's recommendations as is. It could be to modify staff's recommendation with different agencies with different funding amounts, or to suggest to the City Council that they consider other types of services or other programs.
Got it. Thank you. Commissioner Steele?
If there's no support for the motion, can I make another motion?
Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion that we amend the recommendations to fully support Van Ness with a $75,000, that we fund Defense Diagnostics with $60,000, that we add $50,000 for capital drugs, got it on the first try, and that we fund Rainbow Labs in $30,000. Although if the commissioners feel very strongly, I'm willing to not die on the hill for that particular one. And I would suggest to do that, we amend the funding for Healthcare in Action, who is receiving, with these cuts, over 102% increase, which no other provider is receiving. So I support it. I support Healthcare in Action, but it's a massive increase, and that would fund 4 different programs that folks have expressed are important to them. So the amendment is to
amend that motion?
Yeah.
Given context that Derek provided about Rainbow Labs, which was very helpful context, by the way. Thank you for clarifying, Derek. I appreciate that. I understand the concern, and if those are the parameters we're operating under, I would move to amend that motion to move that $30,000 from Rainbow Labs to increase the fee-for-service for Rainbow Hill.
I accept that, yeah. So is it clear the amended motion then with that note? Sorry.
Yeah, so it's the after-school program to the substance use treatment program.
Yes, okay, so, thank you. So are all the commissioners clear on where we just, what we suggested?
And can we move with that specificity? Yeah. Or do we make a motion to?
Why
Yes,
don't you
Christine.
clarify the motion? Make the motion again clarified as you. Yeah.
I can clarify what the amendment if you
I'm
hold
so
on.
sorry.
No, you're fine. The motion with the amendment is to fund Van Ness for $75,000, to move $30,000 to Rainbow Hill, to fund Defense Diagnostics with $60,000, to fund Capital Drugs with $50,000, and to pull $38,818 total from Community Bridge, who only requested $60,000. So there was an additional $38,818 suggested. We pulled that back to $60,000. And then we pull the remainder from the Healthcare and Action funding, leaving them still over a 102% increase. Got it?
Was that a motion?
Are we good?
That's the motion.
I'd second that.
And just for clarification.
That was with my amendment, yes.
Can I get clarification on the Defense Diagnostics? So that's $60,000 in addition to the 10?
Yes,
Or,
thank you.
okay.
Appreciate that.
Do we have a second?
I second that.
Commissioner Palmieri seconds. Roll call, please.
Thank you. Commissioner Borelli?
Nay.
Commissioner Ayers?
Aye.
Commissioner Palmieri? Commissioner Still?
Sorry, aye.
Commissioner Wyville?
Aye.
Vice Chair Williams?
Yes.
And Chair Adolphson?
Aye.
The motion passes.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you. We are closing the public hearing now.
All right. We are on to item number 4, unfinished business, for which there is none. Item 5, new business, also none. Anything excluded from consent? I don't believe there is. Items from staff. I'm blown away. I totally lost the time pool there. Any additional public comment?
Nope, we don't have any more on Zoom and no more in public.
Got it. Items from commissioners. Does anyone have anything to add this evening?
I would like to once again thank staff for all the work. Truly, you make our lives easy and the lives of our community much better.
Anyone else? Commissioner Ayers?
Ditto that, and thanks again to everyone who applied in this cycle.
Commissioner Borelli?
I'd just like to say my nay vote was because of defense. I agreed with everything else, but I just couldn't move forward with that one. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Palmieri?
I want to thank everyone for coming out. Please know the amount of work that we put into this, and please know we're as passionate as you are into all of these areas. Trust me. And for my fellow commissioners, I've been here a long time, and working together like this I've not often seen it. So I'm really happy about that.
Thank you. Commissioner Steele?
Yes, I just want to thank the fellow commissioners for a really thoughtful, meaningful dialogue, and I am shocking Commissioner Borelli on the fact that we're wrapping up at this time, and we haven't had to extend tonight, I'm sure. But I also really just do want to thank staff. There's so much hard work that goes into this. We appreciate recommendations. We understand. Thank you for all the context. Thank you for all of it and all the support. So thank you. Thank you, everybody. And thanks for all of those who submitted. And we certainly hope to get more funding as the years continue. Thank you.
Vice Chair Williams? Vice Chair.
Yes, I was just told by one of my, I keep saying my fellow commissioner, what is it? By Commissioner Borelli that Commissioner Steele is doing Commissioner Stephen Davis a true honor with what you're doing right now. Yeah. You are mathing like if he's watching right now, former Stephen Davis, she's doing the math. So, I want to thank everyone who's here tonight and staff Thanks for taking the extra time. I really appreciate the site visits because, you know, paperwork is one-dimensional. And thank you, and back to the chair.
Awesome. Thank you. I just reiterate all the gratitude. Unbelievable work in a very challenging time. So thank you all for all that you do, and thank you to my commissioners for making this so painless. And Commissioner Steele, thank you for coming in with a plan. I love that. With that, we are wrapping this meeting up at 8:18.
To meet the challenges in the future.
We are gathering with community, with our elected and appointed officials, and with city employees to help determine the city's vision and goals for the next 20 years.
It's an open house environment. This isn't a lecture. This isn't, just a series of questions. It's an invitation for people to give us what their vision is for the city. And there's stations and different prompts and questions. You'll see Post-it notes all over the walls, a lot of different color. There's crayons, and to really get back to